Alright, so this is my 2008 California Special Convertible. Now I'm putting exhaust on it today. I went with Borla Touring because I'm really not after the sound, to be honest with you. I'm really more after making a better performing car. I don't want a lot of drone, and I'm not trying to get super loud. I just want a more freer flowing exhaust, maybe a little bit of sound. It's the free flowing that I want. I'm trying to get, I'm trying to make this smooth. Okay, so this is going to be a comparison of stock to Borla Touring. That's what it normally sounds like. So let's see what we got going on here. All right, so in order to get this muffler off right here, I've got a muffler clamp that sits right up in here. I'm gonna have to get off. And then there's one up front as well that basically bolts on right here. And then I've got this large bolt here for the clamp. And then this should wiggle off. I should be able to get it off with just taking those couple clamps off, the two hangers, and then wiggle it off. And basically I got the same thing on the other sides. Okay, so that's a 15. These small ones, they look like they're about a 13. So let's see what I can do about getting these off. I'm gonna throw a little bit of PB Blaster on the threads of these clamps. I think these will be all right. So let me throw a little bit of PB Blaster on there, and then I'll get to work on these clamps. Cool. One there is the driver's side. These are the clamps. This one here is a pain because it's got 3 spots to bolt. You got one way up here, one right on top of the muffler, and then this one's the simple one. I mean, that's a piece of cake. That's the oddball one. You got this one, that one, which is right on top of the muffler, and then that one way up there. And then the back's a piece of cake, really. I mean, you got one here and then one right here. So not too bad. So it's a little bit tricky to get these off, but I got them off. And I mean, you know, you got to see what it sounds like open, right? So here we go. Let's do it. Yeah, baby. Honestly, that wasn't as loud as I thought it would be. I thought it'd be much louder. It actually sounded pretty good. All right, so let me finish this. Let's get these on. All right, this is the first startup with the Borlas on. Just installed them, man. So let's run this baby. Yeah, it's nice and quiet. Let's see what it is while we're driving. When people spend their own money on parts, there's always going to be a bias, and I'm the same. Everybody's got that bias. So I spent my hard-earned money on a part. I'm going to feel like, hey, this thing gives me horsepower, or this thing is great. Well, I feel that way, you know, and I know part of that is me spending that hard-earned money on it. I'm set about 65, cruising, and I don't even hear that muffler. But if I do this, I definitely hear it then. Climbing these hills. Now this is going to be the most drone that there's going to be. Is climbing the mountain. And I'm on the cruise control, climbing this mountain. This is going to be the biggest drone that there is, because once it reaches that point, it's going to try to stay there, and it's going to just drone on. Now, mind you, I don't have any AC on, so no fan. I got no music on. All that's off. Convertible tops up, the windows are up. So no other real noise makers. This is the extent. And yeah, it's a little bit loud, but it's not crazy. It's not super loud. I've heard drone way worse than this, man. So no, that wasn't bad at all. Well, let's roll through the neighborhood here and let you hear what it sounds like. All right, so let's go. Let's take off. This is what it sounds like in the neighborhood. I mean, nothing too loud, nothing crazy. The sound is very tame. It's very tame. But if I were to step on it, now that wasn't stepping on it very hard, because it'll just spin. Right here, I'm going to be taking off from a stop, and I'm going to have to get on a little bit. Nothing crazy, but you can tell it's smooth. Yeah, so far I'm happy with this Borla Touring exhaust. I think if I would have went any louder, I would have regretted it. And I may regret this at one point. But for the most part, I'm loving the way this thing sounds. It's got a depth to it. It's got a real nice, deep sound. Deeper than some of the others that I've heard. But it'll sit there at idle, and you'll barely be able to tell that you have an exhaust. It'll just like you've got your almost the best of both worlds kind of situation. All right, so it's been a few days since I've had this system on. I've taken a few trips to work. I've probably got about 500 miles or so on this, and I gotta say, I like the sound of the Borla Touring. It's not overly loud until you get on it. Now, when you get on it, you can make it loud. There's a slight drone, but you can manage that drone easy. It's only at a certain RPM, and when it's pulling at that RPM, like right about now, this is going to be about the worst. And I mean, I could still have a conversation. It's really not much different than stock. A little bit louder than it would be stock, but it's really not that bad. And it's only when it's pulling, so when you hit that slight uphill at that certain speed. I could drown all this out with music, and I would, I don't want to. It's a pleasant sound. The whole thing is pretty pleasant. Now, mind you, keep that in mind that I'm in a convertible, and I'm used to convertible sound. I'm used to like a noisy vehicle. I drove a Jeep for a dozen years, and it was noisy. So I'm used to a louder car. And honestly, this sound doesn't affect me at all. It doesn't hurt my ears. I like it. I like the way it sounds. And especially when you step on it and go. I dig it. So I just wanted to finish up the video by saying, yeah, I think the Borla Touring is a nice alternative. It's got that little bit of sound when you want it, and you can make it go away. It's very manageable, especially in a convertible. But man, when you want to make it go, it sounds good. It definitely does. So if you want to make that sound good, yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right, well, I'm out. That's all I got for this one.